Hi, I'm Paul Peterson. Welcome to Aging in LA. Today we are at the Senior Enrichment Center of One Generation, and you're not going to believe your eyes. Wait till you see what we have in store for you today. Hang in there. One Generation. Cool. Here's just a sample of some of the activities available at One Generation.
One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Across, so go ahead. First we have to do mine. You want to be in the picture at all. Go elsewhere.
Got it.
And to look and say, this has nothing to do with me. Remember what we said, how astronomy affects us. Remember, if you don't understand, there's two things you do. One is raise your hand, the other is just suffer. Okay? If you suffer enough, you won't come back. A large cloud of gas. Okay? For those who do not forget anything at this age, get out.
Half a cup. I don't think that's enough. Go ahead, put a cup. Yeah, you don't. Okay.
So if you want to add additional salt, fine, you can add it then. But I don't like to add it before it's done.
And I always put them in right size.
You don't cook with it in the pot. Never. You add it at the end.
Just like the thickness of mine.
Your taste and my taste.
That's why you flour now?
Oh, they're cooking down. You don't even feel it anymore. You take it off the heat, and that's when we add either the sour.
Dip. Lean into it. Woo! Okay. A little shuffle. Woo! Woo! Good. Turn it. 1, 2, 3, 4.
And now we're going to visit with Larry Lisenby and Kathy Carpenter for here at One Generation. Larry, can you give me sort of the brief history of One Generation, where it started, how long ago?
Over 30 years ago, there was a group of people that felt there was a need for a place for seniors to go. So they opened up a storefront on Reseda at Sherman Way. And after a period of time, it was obvious they needed a bigger place to go, and so they came here.
And you have filled it. It's unbelievable. I mean, parking's hard to find.
Yes, we've experienced a lot of growth in the last 3 years. 3 years ago, you could park most any time of the day out there, and now most any time of the day, it's difficult to find parking because so many people are now attending.
Well, that tells you how the need is growing. Kathy, you keep these folks really busy. Can you tell us about some of the programs and how they were generated?
You know, it's based on the interest of the seniors and also of a lot of the different people in the community. We work a lot with kids in the community, we work with disabled adults in the community, and we have formed a lot of intergenerational program, which has been, I think, the key, and our partnerships in the community have been the key to making this place grow. We get a lot of our teachers from the Los Angeles Unified School District. So part of the edict that they need to fulfill is helping with job training.
Of course.
And so we're able to tie in the seniors who do some mentoring. We do intergenerational programs, so everybody gets served. So I like to look at it as a big family.
Yeah, indeed it is. And now let's take a walk around this remarkable facility, One Generation.
We're in partnership with One Generation. We give them the teachers and provide the classes for their citizens here. It's through the program for older adults. We offer exercise classes, chair exercise classes, life stories, and nutrition and cooking classes. And the classes that we're offering, for example, the cooking and nutrition class, we're not only offering it for personal interest, but also to hopefully prepare the students to go out and get a job. We have younger people coming to the classes too. We're trying to gear towards intergenerational.
We're here at One Generation today visiting with Sarah Polinsky, who provides free of charge legal counseling for our seniors. Tell me a little bit about how you got involved here, Sarah.
I have been providing a free legal clinic for seniors at several different senior centers in LA County for the last about 10 years.
Wow.
And when I moved my office here to the Valley, where I now work and live, I decided to get involved with one of the local senior centers, and One Generation was an organization that I've heard so much about over the years. And then I came and saw everything that they do and saw what a great senior center this is. So in the beginning of this year, we started doing this legal clinic.
Are the seniors here at the center referred to you, or do they sort of drop in the front office and say, I have an issue, I need to talk to someone?
They drop in. They basically, the senior center has a list, and they put a notice in their newsletter every month that says, you know, we have an attorney coming here. I think they're calling it Talk with the Attorney. And the seniors come in and make an appointment through the center. So when I show up, I have no idea who's on the list or how many people are here. I just kind of show up and they give me the list. And then we, you know, see the appointments. Everyone has a 20-minute private consultation. And then they go through their legal issues, and we try to address what we can.
Well, without being specific, do they run the gamut from estate issues to healthcare issues?
They run the gamut. I can say after 11 years of working with different senior centers, there are recurring issues that are of concern to seniors. What's the difference between a will and a trust? Now that my spouse has passed away, what's going to happen to my property? If I put my daughter jointly on my account, will she be able to access it if I get sick? So legal issues tend to be like that, but I also get questions of how do I close a bank account? How do I change title on an account? My husband took care of all the banking. How do I get a hold of my financial advisor? What's an annuity? What's a retirement account? You know, and then I also get questions of things that I can't help them with, but I can direct them. You know, bankruptcy questions. Lately, very popular has been loan modification.
Sure. Reverse mortgages and all the
Reverse
things,
mortgages,
right?
yeah. So
We assume that our seniors are wise and experienced, but the truth is the death of a spouse can often leave a person absolutely adrift. They may not even know which bank they're using.
that's very common. We do, I think a lot is taken for granted with seniors that they have, you know, this wisdom and this knowledge, but in actuality, what I've seen also over the years at the senior centers and here, seniors come in a lot with, they're often targeted for different kinds of scams. And abuses.
Those people that target seniors, there is no hell deep enough for those folks.
Absolutely. It's a very trusting population of
Yes.
a segment of our population. And so I'm glad when they come in and they bring me their mailers and the advertisements and they run it by me and say, you know, what is this? A title company that wants $150 to give them a deed that they've had for 40 years,
Right.
you know, when they bought their house.
Sure.
Different kinds of things.
And I think today's generation of seniors, they grew up with a certain adherence to privacy. They don't want to share. They don't want to be a burden to anybody else. And they almost never recognize that they are part of a very big population with similar troubles.
That's a huge, huge point that you raise, is that they'll come in and they ask me these things and I have just a short amount of time with them and I'll say, well, here's what you need to do, and I'll write out instructions, maybe have your daughter call with you. Oh, no, my daughter's working, she's far too busy, she can't do this. And so they do definitely have that feel, so to be able to provide them with resources and let them know what's available to them, whether it's me, whether it's someone else that I can refer them to.
It's an important volunteer thing you're doing, Sarah. And now it's time for Caregiver's Corner.
Are you a caregiver? Most often people don't recognize themselves as caregivers. They say, no, I'm not a caregiver. I'm just the husband, the wife, a son, a daughter, a relative or friend. And they don't recognize that they are caregivers. But in fact, if you are the primary person responsible for taking care of another person, an older adult, with some of what we call their activities of daily living, like bathing themselves, they need help dressing or grooming, preparing their meals, going to the bathroom, or moving from one place to the other, then you are a family caregiver. So you think, well, why is that even important? The reason that we tell you it's important is because there are so many programs and services out there that can help you and your family to live a better quality of life. So by tuning into the fact that you are a caregiver, you'll be more aware of offers that may be available in your community. There are senior centers throughout the community in which you live that can help you do an assessment of what programs and services might best fit the needs for your family. So it's important that you understand that being a caregiver is a very important role that we wouldn't be able to be without in our society. So now that you are a caregiver, now what do? The important thing is that you pull together and figure out how you're going to move forward now. Because even though it's something that has fallen into your lap, after about a year or a year and a half, you start to think, I don't see any light at the end of this tunnel. It's important to take responsibility for the new role that you find yourself in as a family caregiver. Figure out what you can do and what you cannot do. You need to determine what the care receiver can do and cannot do. Learn about the illness or the disease that is causing this problem so that you better understand what's happening. Be realistic about your expectations. Oftentimes before this situation happened, you might have had a things to do list that had 10, 12, 15 items on it for one day. But now you'd be lucky if you have 5 or 6 items on there and maybe get 1 or 2 of them done. So setting real expectations is important. Reach out to find out what resources, programs, and services are available. You can contact the Department of Aging for information and assistance on how we can better help your family. And remember to accept help. Oftentimes you'll find family and friends that offer to help, and you just say, okay, thank you, but take them up on it. Say, really, what would be better for you? A weekday or a weekend? Would it be better in the morning or in the afternoon? And then call and take their help. Ask your friends, your relatives, other family members to see if they can help. Together, you can get very successful at family caregiving.
We had a chance to visit with the teacher and a student, Joanne McCullough and Eileen Popkin.
Is the movement. I mean, we're constantly moving and learning, which is good for your mind. They're learning new dances all the time, new steps, especially in tap. They're learning new steps all the time, and they have to remember them, and that's great for your mind.
You're supposed to do that in folk dancing. They're supposed to remember the steps. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but it is good. Exercise really gets you moving.
Illegally parked cars? Call 311, the toll-free number for non-emergency services. 311, your one call to City Hall. Illegal dumping? Call 311, the toll-free number for non-emergency services. 311, your one call to City Hall.
Moving is so much of who we are. It's easy to take it for granted. Multiple sclerosis stops people from moving. We exist to make sure it doesn't. Join the movement, the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, at nationalmssociety.org.
Welcome back to Aging in LA. We are about to visit with Ellen Oppenberg, who has a unique and new service for seniors. Ellen, welcome. Tell me the name first of this new company and what services you're offering.
Thank you very much. The company's name is Time Savers for Seniors, and we offer A through Z in terms of services. What we try to do is make the lives of seniors and their families that care for them easier. So what that means is that incorporates the idea of going on errands for the seniors and their families, for doing event planning, for doing transitional living exchanges, whereby if the senior is moving from a home that they know so well to another place, we will be on the receiving end, making everything warm and beautiful.
Well, I'm thinking this is could be a great comfort to people who are caring for an elderly senior who can't always be there, or maybe live across the country, because I learned my lessons in this.
Absolutely, as did we. And if I can say, that's exactly why this company was founded. A friend of mine who just lost her mother, I lost my father last year and my mother prior to that, we lamented one day that, how we felt so squeezed between generations. Raising our own families and having our spouses and having full-time jobs and all of that, and still wanting to be everything to everybody, and really just being with our parents rather than always having to run errands for them, but having some more quality time than that. So we decided that we needed a service like this because we didn't know one existed. When we looked, there wasn't one.
Anybody who's been involved with these care issues knows that it's complex. It's ever-changing, as 1 year's problems are not the same as the next. So do you help families anticipate those needs as well?
Absolutely. I mean, having lived through these experiences and knowing what it's like to go through the system and the mazes and what have you, we actually feel that we're pretty authoritarian in that way, that we know what to do. Right. And we also do a referral service. We also do internet searches for families when they don't have the time. So the opposite end of what we do is not only for the seniors, but also for their families. So if they have to be at Aunt Mary's birthday party, but they also have to get little Johnny's birthday party together, we'll help them out with that as well.
Now, before we run out of time, again, the name of the company and how can people contact you?
Time Savers for Seniors.
Time Savers for Seniors.
We're serving the San Fernando Valley and the Ventura County area, and 818-832-8526 or timesaversforseniors.com.
Thanks so much for joining us, Ellen. This is a real treat for us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
My pleasure.
Kathy, tell me what we're seeing here with these young kids serving the seniors.
This was a program that was started as a true intergenerational program, and it's an offshoot of the lunch program where the kids come in and serve lunch to the seniors, which is a workability program. We decided to take it to another level and incorporate now a culinary class, which also is going to have a built-in bakery component where people are going to learn how to start their own business, baking, selling product, and truly working all intergenerational components of the piece of the model.
Well, kids in high school have to have community service hours. Can they get them here?
Absolutely. They can get community service hours, they can get high school credit elective hours for their technical electives, and aside from all of that, which I think is the most important piece, is that they get job skills, they get hands-on training, and they get socialization skills, which everybody benefits from.
Here's your green milk.
Thank you.
Enjoy your lunch, everyone. Thank you.
When you think about the size of the community of seniors coming into the market, we're going to need youngsters in the job place who are able to take care of seniors and understand their needs.
And it allows them the opportunity to get all those components that we just talked about. And you know what? Who doesn't love food? Using food as a medium to, create, jobs and training and socialization for all generations is truly, to me, the best part of the whole.
Well, I agree. This is the chicken soup.
Exactly.
And now it's time to hear from Brenda Barnett from the Department of Animal Services, another of the special services available here in Los Angeles.
And I'm delighted to be able to tell you about a special program that we have, which is Senior Pets for Senior Citizens. And what we know about having companion animals in our lives is that they make us happier, they make us smile, they reduce our blood pressure, and they greet us when we come home from wherever we've been, whether it's a walk or whatever. The other thing that as we get older and we get a little bit more sedentary in our lives, having a companion animal probably increases your exercise. You'll get up, you'll take care of your pet, you'll take your companion animal for a little walk. If it's a kitty, you'll clean your litter box. And when you remember to feed your companion animal, that's a reminder that it's time for you to eat too. So, we just know that having a companion animal is the best way to enrich your life and to enrich their life because they need you too. Each year at Los Angeles Animal Services, we have over 50,000 companion animals that come through our 6 shelters. So we have a selection that you won't believe until you come and see it. We have kitties of all ages, from kittens to mature cats. I actually would recommend a mature cat. They're a whole lot easier. We have dogs from puppies to mature dogs. Again, I would recommend a mature dog because they're a little bit easier to handle and take care of. And we have love in all size packages. So come on down to Los Angeles Animal Services, any one of our 6 shelters, meet our amazing animals. We have love just waiting for you.
We are visiting now with Ann Love from the DMV, and we have a subject that's very important to the seniors in and around Los Angeles. Ann, welcome. Thank you for coming here.
Thanks.
You are the ombudsman for seniors on behalf of their interest vis-a-vis the DMV, correct?
Yes, as the senior driver ombudsman, I work with seniors who have concerns, inquiries regarding transactions at the Department of Motor Vehicles. I also spend a large part of my time making presentations to senior groups about safe senior mobility.
Well, what are some of the things you do? I mean, do you address senior citizen groups?
Yes.
When they get together so you can kind of inform them of what's coming?
I think the idea is to bring to mind that there are physical and mental changes that accompany the aging process.
Yes.
And those changes do affect skills necessary for safe driving.
Yes.
And make recommendations how they might use resources, modify driving behaviors, so that they can continue their driving life for a little longer. One of the first steps of being a safe driver is recognizing that there are changes.
Yes.
We each age differently, so it's important that each person do a self-assessment to determine where they are. DMV has published a senior guide for safe driving.
Very good.
And in that guide is a self-assessment tool that helps seniors go through their skills, their impairments, and determine just where they are and the kinds of modifications they might need to make.
Moving forward, you mentioned to me before we started the formal part of this interview that people need to do some planning. They do for retirement, but they don't plan for those years when they stop driving. How many years do most people go after they lose their privileges?
Most people will outlive their ability to be a safe driver for 7 to 10 years.
7 to 10 years, did you hear that?
So what we'd like to do is take it in stages. Start with the self-assessment. Recognize what resources are available, whether it's adaptive equipment, whether it's driver retraining, whether it's rehabilitation retraining, driving modification, which may mean eliminating certain things, changing routes so that they are off heavy thoroughfares and onto less traffic, maybe eliminating night driving, freeway driving, those kinds of changes. DMV even offers an area restriction, which says someone might drive in a particular area.
Right, and go to and from the market and a well-marked route.
Yes.
I can understand that I guess there's no easy way to say this, but the time does come, and it is very painful within families when you have to tell Dad or Grandpa, you just have to give me your keys.
Well, we want the message. We want Dad and Mom to get the message that driving is not forever. So when that time comes, it won't be a shock to them that they're no longer able to drive. We want them to accept the fact that driving is not forever, to become familiar with alternate transportation that's available.
That's very important because we do have a lot of little companies and government services, whether it's paratransit, access transit, things, numbers that you can call.
There are taxi vouchers, there's some seniors who may not be able to drive may still be able to use public transportation.
Right.
And there are reduced fees associated with that. So there's a lot available, and we recommend that seniors become familiar with what's available in their community before they reach the point that suddenly they can't drive today.
But this is such a large topic and so important to the seniors in and around Los Angeles. I can't thank you enough, Ann Love, for joining us. The Senior Ombudsman for the DMV. They have a booklet available for you, so you know the address, www.dmv.ca.gov. Okay? Pick this up because it's important. Maybe you can extend that freedom of the road a little bit longer.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ann. And now it's time for our health checkup with Dr. Gill.
We're going to talk about memory loss today. In my practice with the senior citizen population, that seems to be a very common complaint of people. Unfortunately, what we're finding is that they're waiting until way too late to do something about it. They're waiting until they're losing blocks of memory in their life. And really where it should start is these short-term memory losses, like where did I last leave my keys? What did I have for lunch yesterday? What was the phone number that I dialed this morning to someone who just gave me their phone number? This is where treating memory loss should begin. And so it's not a question of I can't remember these blocks of time way in the past. It really starts with short-term memory loss first. And perhaps what we should do is go over this mechanism of short-term memory loss and how it really occurs first. What I've got here is a model of a brain. This is the back half of the brain. And on different parts of the brain, we're just going to talk about one part in particular. It's called the parietal lobe. It's right over in here, and the temporal lobe. The temporal lobe is where a part of the brain sits called the hippocampus. Now, the hippocampus is what's very responsible for memory loss. And different things can affect your hippocampus. For example, a high cortisol, which is a hormone released by your adrenal glands, is very toxic to the hippocampus. So if you're under stress or if you have adrenal gland dysfunction, it could strongly affect your hippocampus, and you'll find you start getting these lapses in short-term memory. The other part is this temporal lobe here where the hippocampus sits. What you might find is maybe your smell has changed. Maybe you smell things that other people don't smell. Or perhaps you don't smell things that other people smell. That tells us that there's a portion of this brain here called the temporal lobe that's affected. And because that hippocampus sits right inside that temporal lobe, that tells me that there could be a potential neurological problem here in your temporal lobe and or hippocampus, which is affecting your memory. So how do we fix this? Well, one of the most common things that occur because of this short-term memory loss is toxicity to the brain through inflammation. Now, what do I mean by that? There's literally fire inside your brain. Now, how do you get fire inside your brain? Well, if you don't have a great diet, that's one of the reasons why you might have fire inside your brain. One of the most common things, though, is blood sugar. Blood sugar spikes and blood sugar drops. So one of the easiest things you can do to possibly help out your memory loss is eat regularly. Right? Watch your high sugar foods at the end of the night. Start eating every couple hours. Don't skip meals. That's one of the easiest things you could do. Another thing is take anti-inflammatory herbal supplements like fish oils. Fish oils are one of the easiest things you can do to calm down inflammation in your brain. Okay? Brain cells hate inflammation and brain cells hate blood sugar spikes. So keep your blood sugar under control. Watch, what you're eating. Okay? Don't eat the most obvious things out there that you know you shouldn't eat. And really just watch the inflammatory products that you're ingesting.
Kathy, Larry, thank you so much for sharing your day with us. It's been a wonderful visit, and I hope you enjoyed it too. And thanks for joining us with Aging in LA.